you start noticing that your experience is absolutely conditioned by your own mind. So you can get the job you want, you always dream, and still feel very miserable. Or someone in a kind of difficult situation may feel actually pretty good. So hopefully that's a clear point to all of us to realize that, okay, something's going on inside myself, which is basically conditioning my experience totally. So meditation is an invitation to explore that directly, meaning you sit with yourself. And that's not necessarily a nice thing to do, because most of us have accumulated some momentum from a lot of non-digested experiences, in a more intense way, traumatic experiences, disappointments in life. More and more it's more difficult to just enjoy, sit on your couch without watching YouTube or Netflix, or staying with yourself. Just being alive, it seems to be not productive. But the important thing to notice, especially if you observe your own behavior, try to see for things, for internal cues of something you doesn't feel satisfied, and then you look for different kind of patches, ways we learn to deal with the uncomfortable background, silent feeling of misery that's slowly accumulating in the background of our lives, which we don't want to address because it's like open Pandora's box. Is like, wow, you're gonna start facing the fear of death and all that stuff that seems to be useless to try to understand. So we avoid it, but it is there, to the point that we don't even notice anymore that it is there. That's the real problem. We got so used to feel bad that we don't notice that we are bad. By bad, I mean unsatisfied. From the simple degree of someone who be just, you go home, you're alone, and you get kind of restless, like want to fill your life with entertainment. It's not anything wrong to entertain, but you know what I mean. The sense of need, I need to, like the monkey. We need to avoid the inner feeling that is growing inside of us, and we really don't know. No matter how much effort you do, seems to be there, and how much hard you work in life to be successful or to fix the situations, still there after a while. It just comes back even harder most of the time, and it accumulates through life. So you better become sort of wiser some way. The beauty of meditation is that it doesn't teach you anything. It's just suggestions on how to explore yourself, because there is something very, 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 very important to realize, is that every time we suffer, if you will observe your mind, you will notice that you're making assumptions about a lot of things. Most of the time unconsciously. I'm not saying you deliberately are creating your own suffering, but if you're honest and you really want to know the truth, you will start noticing that you yourself are kind of distorting the situation. It's not a neutral position. So meditation, it kind of, through different ways, mostly coming here and now, see it, still your body, still your mind, and kind of see what happens. Kind of notice what is in there. Don't be afraid of whatever is inside. Just deal with it. The good news is, once you overcome the first, I would call it anxiety state, that all of us will have something in there we don't want to be checking. But at some point you realize there's no point of escaping from, you can't escape from that, so you better face it. And once you stop rejecting the feeling that may not feel that good, for many people starting meditation will be kind of a restless sensation and sensation of frustration, maybe because you something as simple like watching your breath, it may feel like too complicated and makes you feel that you're maybe not good at this. But these simple devices that have been proven true for thousands of years are just throwing you a direction, a very simple suggestion, like just sit, stay calm, just don't do anything, for example. And you may find that's very, very difficult. Finding many things going inside of you like crazy. Well, to start with, you are just amplifying what you already have in there. It's like the moment you stop your body, that's why it's so useful when you want to explore yourself, to stop your body, because it will kind of enhance, like when you are in bed and you can't sleep, and just being in bed kind of amplifies whatever the feeling is, many times worry and stuff like that when you cannot sleep, of course. The same way, when you stop your body, you start noticing you're compressing everything inside of you, your mind, and your mind start not liking it. It's like a wild dog fighting it. For many people, it feels like, it's impossible to do. I can just not focus. I mean, my mind is talking all the time. I'm distracted all the time. Good news is it will ultimately, just sitting with the attitude of feeling and observing, will ultimately chill the whole thing down, because you will start little by little not reinforcing this unconscious dynamics that keeps you restless. And as I said before, it's not necessarily going to be a nice experience at first. You may find some things that, sitting here, I'm bored, I fall asleep, or am I done? Am I done now? I'm meditating more time. I'm doing good, better than yesterday, because I actually meditated. Well, it's good that you sit it in that point, but I really want to avoid people doing that, because, well, there's an initial value to sit and try to stay. If that's a lot, okay, then that's the right thing to do. But after a while, sitting and doing nothing is very boring. So I think many people don't really understand this. You follow a guided meditation, and which is really cool. It teaches you a lot of things, and it's good. It helps you to explore yourself in a way that you bypass a lot of regular noise that will be there if you don't do anything. But ultimately, I think it's very important, the point that I'm making all the time, and I see it really very rarely anyone nowadays with all this mindfulness stuff, they're really making it. There's a great loss. It's the simplicity that basically you just decide to do something, and you just find all the involuntary resistance against that. So that's why I start with something as simple as, I'm just going to sit. I'm going to keep my body still. I'm not saying this is, please explore, be playful with this. Some of you may not be right, but for many people in general, if you cannot keep your body to some extent still, that means that you're not really controlling your nervous system. So in the same way that we force our kids to stay seated while they're in school, there's a basic in here that I'm not saying that people should be static all the time or anything like that. But when you sit to meditate, yes. Because if you cannot stop your body, how are you going to stop your mind? So, and I'm not saying to forcefully think of stopping your body. I'm talking about just don't reinforce dynamics happening. And maybe you want to correct your sitting position. That's okay. I'm not talking about a forceful stillness. I'm talking about what happens. Just don't reinforce your inner activity. And just open to feel, explore what's happening inside of you here and now. Sometimes you may succeed doing that. That will be alone a very advanced meditation, just for you to know. Most advanced meditators just sit and do nothing, like literally That's the ultimate meditation. Just don't do anything. There is no even technique to it. That's the problem. It's too boring for anyone. Not when your mind is moving, it's gonna feel impossible. But when your minds start becoming just still, it start becoming apparent the greatness of being alive, and that hopefully it will pull you in. But for most people, that wouldn't be enough. You will find yourself continuously distracted all the time. Then the attitude is purge your own mind, purge it from involuntary stuff that is controlling your life anyway. We think we're making decisions and we own our life, but that is seriously in question free will when you start observing the dynamics of the mind. We're terribly conditioned to feel afraid, and I'm not talking about media, I'm talking about our bodies to survive. It just need to feel like. So most people will have a real trouble with, let's say, too much of an open focus meditation at first. May feel very chill, like just focus on everything. Fine, if you feel the sweet spot, just do it. Do it now. Do it all the time. Just notice things. If it gets you into the flow, follow that. To see to which extent you can have clarity on that. If you follow that, you will be there. Good news is that if you approach meditation in such a minimal way, you could be meditating all the time, which will be close to saying you can be in wonder most of the time you're alive. But as I said, that may work sometimes, but in general, it's not going to work. So what do? You narrow that focus into something more specific. Your breath. It's a very generic one. I really understand. There are many reasons why it's a fantastic meditation to suggest to anyone, anytime in history, to any human. There's so many things you're going to learn about yourself, about your mind, about your emotions, just focusing on your breath right now, all the time. It's happening. Your brain is noticing your breath all the time. So it's not something you need to focus so much. It's there already. It's very, very effortless. That on itself probably has served to humanity more than any other meditation. But just to simplify and abstract this so you can apply it creatively in whatever you want, anytime you want, in your own way. You could be listening to music. You could be focusing on one thing on the wall or in the carpet. You could be just keeping your eyes without focusing on anything or seeing everything at the same time. I mean, be playful with that. But the basic structure is you attempt to do something very, very, very basic, biologically, physically here. And you're going to find resistance. You're going to find something in you that is just fighting that. You cannot just sit and focus on your breath. And that is an unconscious part of yourself that is blocking from you from perceiving this moment. That's why in spirituality you will hear all the time this moment, being present here and now, all the time, over and over. You get that one, that's it. If you're there all the time, you don't even need to sit. You are here and now, even when you don't notice, right? Is the way you know you're alive, right? Your thoughts are happening in this moment. Every sound, every sensation is pointing you just now, all the time. Get into that flow if you can, then that will be a great meditation. But as a reference, your mind will start letting go. If you really flow into that meditation, your mind will start surrendering thinking, because thinking is like getting to daydreaming, which is useful many times, but taking reference of enlightened people, it will be like 80 to 90% of the time, you don't need to think. Then why are we thinking all the time? Because we are avoiding this moment. And that's okay. The only thing you can do is to relax and chill. It's that simple. But many times your mind will be too busy and you will find trouble to find this simplicity, especially when your emotions are too active and you are worried or you are stress chemical in your bodies, and it's just going to feel like, no, you cannot just sit and do something simple too much. Then today we're going to count our breath. But we're going to do it in one specific way. You count one, you can breathe in and out, and you count the cycles. And you start adding numbers. 1, 1, 2, then you add one more. 1, 2, 3, then one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're not counting directly 1, 2, whatever number you get to count. You are creating this reset back and adding one number every time. So this helps. The counting mechanism in your mind, in your brain, is very, very basic. It's like just a little rumming in the back. But at the same time, if your mind is too distracted, you won't be able to count. So please feel all right. And I think most of you are going to lose the counting at some point, for sure. That could be a good sign. Maybe you probably will notice, oh, I left. That is going to help you to keep an incredible amount of mental activity taking you completely off of the moment in a very dramatic way. So just keep the counting going. Keep adding one number. Is it clear? Just to make sure. Is it clear the way that I'm the counting, how it goes? It's very simple. If you don't like it, you could just count straight. You can get to 1,000, 2,000. Just as an exploration, try it one day. You'll see, you say, this cannot be that simple. And hopefully, at least, you will notice it really works. The counting ultimately starts chilling your mind a lot. It's very useful, just that. And they use it in many traditions. That's it. If you're really good at it, or you're more of an expert meditator, then I will suggest you to only count. So make sure that your mind is resting between the counting. So the counting is minimal. If you do that, you're going to start finding the balance of stillness behind it, and you can pull some point. That's why they're doing this. The monasteries, all these super advanced meditation training, they have these very specific tools they customize to each person in a given moment to help them move along the experience. So every second of the meditation counts, and it makes a difference. It's not that sitting meditation is just like, no, it has to make a difference in you have to shake your life. It has to be a revolution. It has to be a manifestation of your intent of changing everything. So get a comfortable position. You don't need to breathe in any specific pattern. The ideal pattern is automatic, something you don't decide and you let your body take over. In the beginning, maybe shallower, more active, but if you just, without doing anything, your body will balance and the breathing may be a little deeper. Many meditators will kind of facilitate that by making a slightly deeper breathing for a while. And at some point, you really completely release your intention of controlling your breath. Sit in a comfortable position. Your spine may be kind of in balance, so there's no muscles that would tense too much when you sit for a few minutes. Some people may observe the breathing sensations in the nostrils. Some people will focus on the breathing in your belly, how your belly expands when you breathe in and retracts when you breathe out. And some people will have a more generic perception of the breath, a bit more like all the places where you notice your breath at the same time. And for certain people, they will notice subtle sensations like kind of electrical or energetic sensations through your body when you breathe and you pay attention. Some people may follow that. Choose the one that it feels easier for you or more interesting. Your inner and outer activity decreases naturally. So you will notice your body relaxing and releasing tension like stress or unconscious fears or worries that will sort of tense certain muscles. Common one would be the back of your neck or anywhere in your back or your forehead. You can allow yourself to relax. This is a safe place. You can move if you need it. Slowly your body is relaxing, your mind is relaxing. For most people, there will be occasional thoughts. Let them be. You don't need to stop them. You're just releasing activity, becoming more and more comfortable here and now. You don't need to think. The counting should be pretty much effortless for your brain. It doesn't matter if the breath is quick or slow, deep or shallow. Let it be. Surrender your inner activity. Right now, you don't need to think about this. So extremely simple. There's nothing to think. Just the counting is the only activity. But it doesn't need any logical reasoning, commentaries. All that is involuntary activity that is coloring your perception. That's not you. It's just a compulsive habit of thinking. You don't need it. Your only mission is not to lose the counting. You can put the voices in your head at rest. Surrender. There is nothing to lose. If you're keeping the counting and not trying to do anything, your body and your mind will progressively relax. If you lose the counting, it's okay. If you get distracted by thoughts or sounds or sensations, it's okay. Just go back to it. And keep nurturing a restful state of wakefulness. Where the sensation of being here and now becomes more and more prominent to your perception. For that, you need to let go of the thinking machine. Let your breath be completely involuntary, smooth, relax. The less you think, the more you feel. Slowly but surely, the inactivity leads to a more profound state of relaxation in your body and your mind. And at the same time, there's an aliveness and a clarity. You start realizing that the gaps without thoughts are actually full of life. The most beautiful sense of presence and aliveness, freshness. Don't try hard, on the contrary. It's about just being here without doing anything special. The counting is just a trick to understand when you lose awareness, when you get distracted. Most people are so used to think that it will feel a little strange to be awake and not thinking. But at the same time, you can notice that it is very natural and effortless. It feels feels like home, like a deeper layer of being here and now. Thoughts are more superficial. Whatever happens, follow the counting. The only way of succeeding at this is to let go and do nothing. The most comfortable, possible, restful state. The restful sensation goes deeper in your mind and your body, deeper and deeper. And the thinking is replaced by a sense of presence, sense of here and now. The less you think, the more evident the presence will be. Sense of space, stillness, and silence. If that sense start becoming more and more stable, then you can drop the counting and just be there. If you're falling asleep, losing the counting, or your mind still too excited sometimes, then keep the counting. Keep deepening the relaxation until the awareness of this moment becomes transparent and evident. Dwell in the peaceful silence of this moment with a restful mind and body. Rest your mind in silence, in pure attention, effortless. We're gonna finish very soon. So I invite you to explore as an experiment. How much can you actually trust and let go of your inner activity? How much can you trust this moment as it is without trying to change it? Being fine with whatever it is right now. Just let go. Do nothing. And yet with a sharp awareness of this moment. How much can you surrender? How deep can you rest in non-doing? See how far can you go in letting go and remaining in your essence of fresh aliveness without doing anything. If you let go deep enough, at some point, when you finish your meditation, you can still notice that stillness can still be there even when your body is moving and even when your mind is moving. But it's a fact that most of mental activity is not effective So when you let your mind rest, your mind will become very effective. And you won't need to think so much. I printed this thing. I take them randomly. This is something you can take home if you find it valuable. There's a quote of Yogananda that says, "Learn to be calm and you will always be happy." Many people will say, what a simplistic seems even silly, right? That is, just be calm. Many people will say, yeah, no. But, of course, it's meant in the way of your mind being calm. It's absolutely fine that you do everything with your body and that you move and that you do whatever is required. But you will see, if you explore this simple point, you will notice that the amount of involuntary thinking is inversely proportional to your happiness. Is that clear? Inversely proportional is not something that people say much, but you know what I mean, right? There's this noise. We think it's our own voice in our head. That's something you hear all the time in spirituality, like, you are not who you think you are. And it's kind of a strange concept at first, like, what? That sounds like crazy. But when you start really observing, you will find that you didn't really choose your thoughts. Do you? It's scary. That's the truth. It's really scary to start considering that your life is so much out of control. Good news is, it's only scary if you think about it. So, I've been doing this for a long time because I found all the answers in silence, let's say. But I mind my own business. I had no intention to be a meditation teacher or anything similar to that. And I avoided that for a very long time. And I avoided actually any kind of spiritual group or environment or teaching or anything, unless very specific ones related to what I am actually practicing. But in general, I don't want to talk about anyone about this. It's like my sexual life, so profound, so deeply, that it just don't go about talking. I don't feel like, for me, this coming here and doing this, talking about this, has been taking an effort on talking about it. But I did it before sharing all these techniques, which I'm really, really blessed to have met, to find all the incredible let's put it this way. You can get all the millions you want, you can get the job you want, you can get the partner you want, you can get it, still doesn't feel close to the joy of freedom from your own mind. Not even close. And I tried to share this before. A few years ago, many people came, too many, and I realized people were just trying to use meditation as another way of keeping their life miserable. As if, okay, so I just want to do it to not feel my anxiety, so I'm going to stop my mind. I'm going to do this trick just so I don't have to take the doctor's pill or whatever it is, So I stopped doing it. I realized this is useless. Still have a few friends from that time, but then Corona and the lockdowns came. And together with all this crazy lifestyle, involuntary, crazy, techno-oriented stimulation, the rampage of anxiety, depression, loneliness is unbearable. Sorry, I just cannot just do nothing. And this is the only thing that I can talk about, I can say. I'm really hoping to bring tools, or maybe just the sitting together with the intention of figuring it out. Maybe it's easier in here than at home to face the situation. And I'm really honored to share all these things because it's just the way it is. Hopefully it gives an opportunity to break a little the stream of maybe one of these tricks works. So surely all of them work actually, but start from where you feel. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there is no suffering, there is no mental affliction, there is no anxiety, there is no psychological fear, there is no depression, there is no all of that in the simple state of presence, which is your natural state. You don't even need to accomplish it. The problem is that YouTube kind of thing we have in our head that is all the time. And it's so active, so active. You can see this in other people, especially if you know someone who is suffering. You can very easily tell they're not seeing what's happening. They're so conditioned by their pain, their trauma, whatever you want to call it. But it triggers a lot of mental activity, and that position can only be sustained by thinking. The moment you stop thinking, it opens. And most people won't be ready for this. Let's say you need to really be ready to deal with your own stuff. That's why I think many people try meditation and don't improve much, because it really requires like an honest, deep, profound intention of actually figuring it out what is happening. And important point, why you suffer, why things in life don't get you more satisfied, why trying harder is really not the solution. Goal achieving is not the formula for happiness. Positive thinking, neither. It's better than horrible thinking, but still, it's not satisfying. It's like still, you're still, there's some illusory thing happening in there. But the problem is that we need to deal with all this uncomfortable background of unconscious trauma. That's why most people won't even do it without. That's why we, all of us, need to go out and be helpful to other people in that sense, because that's really the human dilemma. We are trapped in this matrix of thoughts. And the way out is by relaxing and pay attention. Counting for today. And so I would say that's like this statement, that's childish, that's ridiculously simple. You don't understand my problems. You have not seen my boss. I actually in debt. There is all these things that, but still don't get it. It's true, we all do. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm outside of the game. I'm just trying to be as truthful as possible to all the parts in you that know very well what I'm talking about, because you don't need thoughts to understand this. Just feeling you're here and now, and basically do nothing. And normally people say, well, you're saying that I shouldn't trying to do things in life and learning this and doing that and hanging out and working in something I want to work, or traveling the world, or no, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about being passive in the literal sense of becoming a stone. That's really bad understanding of spirituality and meditation, which is very common and obvious, right? For all the things we've been discussing here, many people say, "Oh, I'm gonna try not to think. I'm gonna try to do nothing." No, wait. No, that's not gonna work. So someone may ask, okay, learn to be calm. I want that. How do I do that? Well, I obviously recommend to sit and meditate. Any kind of meditation you find helpful for that specific goal of lowering your involuntary background mental activity that you never asked for. It's very important to notice you're not really thinking. It's just something is taking over you. Something is distracting you. Thoughts just pop out. It's just that comes a thought that says, "Oh, I thought that." But if you really, really carefully look at the experience of thinking, you're gonna find that that's actually not happening. You don't create your thoughts. Then you may not be choosing as much as you think you're choosing. But I don't mean this in a scary way. I'm out of control. No, it's a relaxation. It's a release. It's a beautiful, calm feeling. No, it's like trusting, like knowing you will think everything you need to think in the right moment. So you don't need to be worrying and preparing for the future. Just start noticing it's just happening. Just go along with it. Watch the movie, enjoy it. And if you're ever suffering, then first, the only place to look for is your mind. Sounds obvious, but most of us, out of a need, reflect, out of survival conditioning, whenever you find something suffering, you may go out thinking, blaming a circumstance or blaming something for your feeling. Because if you're really ready to take that responsibility, wow, you're already in the game, right? If you take responsibility of your feelings and don't blame the world for how you feel, start really, really well settled in direction of freedom, because you keep following a little longer, find your own trick, like today's trick, to observe is that true? It is true that what we're looking for is the medium that is allowing us to be alive. So it's not the things we experience. It's not what you experience, but when you start enhancing this relaxation and attention and exploring, let's say, this moment with attention, you start noticing you can start enjoying almost anything. The attention itself is pleasant. Follow that as deep as you can, and a great sense of freedom will accompany that. Like, wow, you don't need the car, well, or miles or whatever we need nowadays. I said, if nobody's thinking of buying a car in Berlin, I know, but you know what I mean, right? There's so many things we think we need to accomplish. We need to become someone else so people can finally love us. But why? Because we don't love ourselves at the first place. But just a little note on that, because there's a lot of people saying, I have a low self-esteem. Well, that's not actually true. You're telling yourself that. If you don't think, you don't fear. So, I don't know where you are. I know we are in some place, and there are things in our lives that are challenging us, but it's really, really a great release to notice that uncomfortable feeling you have in there, where we try to blame to that or this or that, and you're trying to stop people from doing things for you to feel better, or you're trying to get to somewhere in the future for you to feel better. Hopefully that start dropping. It starts drying when you start paying attention. Just notice, never, ever, ever that is going to happen. So, I hope this feels for you not like something someone is saying, but more something like you know already. That is really the way that I'm trying to phrase it, and saying I'm not really saying anything. I cannot tell you something you don't know. I'm just trying to melt our minds together and do an exploration. Does it make sense? I said a lot of big things. How many people will say, how you dare to say that? You are too way out. You're exaggerating. So, does it feel different? Meaning, maybe that wasn't a clear question. Is it clear that your emotions, your, let's call it suffering, just to limit to that, it is a response of your mental activity? Okay, that's all. That's all actually what I'm trying to go about. That's a big deal. Hopefully you really take responsibility of that observation. You will say, okay. At first, I think we all feel very frustrated because you notice you cannot take control of it. Feels like too strong dynamic, that your personality, your way of reacting things, being so deeply conditioned in yourself that it seems when people try to change habits and do all this or that, and they make such a huge effort, good news. You don't need to do anything. Just find a way of practice this relaxation. People, I wouldn't call it meditation, but I think it's a very, very, very useful, important thing. It's to low activity. That's what I found this quote very on spot for most people, because sometimes we're discussing about stopping your mind. Not stopping like you stop it. It's like it stops itself once you start releasing your attention from the daydreaming of thinking. Then when you do that, your mind starts losing energy. And some people do meditation and don't actually activate that. Ultimately, in the end, you really end up doing a lot bad. There is a very clear experience by anyone who really, really follows this exploration a little deeper. And I'm not saying, again, it's not that you shouldn't have thoughts, but I can very confidently tell you, just take this as that 80 to 90% of what you're thinking is not working, is tiring your mind, is making you feel very chaotic, like you don't know if you feel good or bad. It's too confusing. And our society is full of entertainment and full of ways of distracting yourself. Like the only way you breathe when you pay for that service that lets you get out of your head a little bit through a horrible movie or something that kicks you in harder, and it becomes like an addiction. You need more and more of that. Like, I need to go into nature. I need to go to retreat. I need to... it's like you need this, you need that, you need that. You have to pay for most of it. That's important part of the process. But the uncomfortable truth, but the real truth is you're interested in long-term, sustainable state of contentment. Not to pull it too hard, but it can be way harder than that. Could be everyone feels at some point. So you explore, you get into... You start to get glimpses of how deep can you go. But at least what can be assured for anyone, any client in here today, is that you follow through, let's say, the counting consistently for some time. You're just going to start noticing it, and you don't understand why it feels so good, so easy. It doesn't make sense at first. And some days it will feel like you're desperately trying to, I want to get rid of my stuff in my head, so I'm going to make the counting to see if now you're doing something. Okay, just to make sure it's not escaping. Meditation is not escaping from the world. On the contrary, it's facing and hazing the things that you're normally not paying attention. So calmness doesn't mean just go around like, I'm at peace. I'm spiritual. I do yoga. I meditate. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in your head now. You go out, you're walking on the street, and your mind is so open and receptive that you see things, and it feels good, and it feels connected, and your mind is calm. It's not compulsively overexcited all the time. You need to be thinking. You need to be your phone. You need to be. Please use your phone if you need to, but. You know what I mean, right? It's the you're flying all the time up there in activity. That's where, well, you don't need to succeed in life in anything, really, to find that happiness. to give yourself a break, and you don't need to go on vacations neither, and you don't need no. You don't need anything. Just let go of this escaping from that feeling you want to avoid. So yes, you can get yourself out of any psychological suffering you will ever have. You yourself. Not, someone from the outside may throw a pointer or kick you in the ass. Many spiritual teachers basically make your life impossible. Push you to the edge. That's basically what a lot of what a meditation teacher would do. Like if you, I would like to have a personal private master that will actually teach me how to be enlightened. Well, they will just make you suffer like a bitch. Meaning don't look so forward to that. But ultimately just to make you aware that it is you. That is self-created. And so finding the solution is just drop the knife. So I want to offer, this space is to offer you, and I really mean it, to offer you space where you can explore this. And yes, I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm really saying what I'm saying. I'm talking about you can be happy no matter what. And you don't need to become someone else. And it's there, it's in you, it's already there. You only need to unplug the TV. That's the only thing you may need to struggle a little bit to find the way through. Explore this meditation, that old meditation, find the time in your day. That's maybe feel like an activity. But beyond that, that's it. So, yes, you cannot just want to if any of you is suffering anyway, I just want to say I'm here. And I don't like hearing people's problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about being here and really meaning everything I'm saying. And it's beautiful. And if you feel it, you should say it too, because people need to hear this. You're free already. It is there. It's closer to you than your thoughts even. You just need to look for it. You don't need to solve anything. You don't need to wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.